daycare, wife, mother. What do these things have in common? Women used to stay home and raise their kids. And the first argument I will get from people is, it takes two incomes now. You just can't make it on one. Excuse me. Well, I won't argue with that. It takes two incomes if you want the two Escalades in the driveway, the 3,000 to 5,000 square foot house, the boat down at the lake. Let me see, a couple of quad runners, and so much stuff that you can only get one car in your two-car garage, and you have a storage shed because you have so much stuff that you have no place to put it. So yes, I won't argue with that. But when I grew up, the grandparents took care of the kids. Our neighbors sometimes would watch them, if you had to have someone watch your kids. And some of the mothers even stayed home and the father worked. And so many of you will say, oh, we can't do that anymore. You can't make it on one income. Well, I've raised 6 kids by myself on one income with no woman around here for the last 12 years, no wife, no support whatsoever. Okay. And I'm a high school dropout. So if I can do it, then other people can do it. It's just a question of what's important to you. Now, my kids didn't wear designer clothes for the first 6 or 7 years. They still don't unless they buy them on their own. They're grown up now. Most of them, I still have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old. But we were able to do it. And America's probably one of the best places to be able to do that in. We've grown so accustomed here in the States to having all these luxuries, pleasures. When I was a kid, you didn't have nail salons, you didn't have tanning salons, you didn't have massage parlors. These were things considered for the rich people. And in my town, we didn't even have places where you could get that done. You had to go to St. Louis to get it done, or to find those type of places. Now, these are, we have several tanning salons around here, I think, and I don't know how many nail salons we have, massage parlors, legitimate massage parlors. I think they're all legitimate. So, and then and fast food restaurants, we didn't go out to eat maybe once a month. And now people go out to eat all the time, almost every night. Few people cook. So we've just become accustomed to this luxury, pleasurable lifestyle that we think we can't do without it. You would be amazed at what you can do without and still have a good life. Actually, maybe a better life. Enjoy the simpler things in life. But back to the daycare deal. Okay, so it's one of the most valuable careers a woman can have. Raising her own children, putting her values and her husband's values into those children, and taking care of them. No one can take care of children the way the mother can. It's just not been given near the credit. It's been devalued through the years to be a mother. I remember when I was married years ago, with the mother of my children I have now, and someone asked her, says, do you work? She says, well, I stay home with the 3. We had 3 kids at the time. We have 6 now. And, well, don't you work? Well, I stay home with the kids. Like that's not a job. Well, I'll guarantee you, as I said, I took care of myself for the last 12 years and worked too. I didn't put them in daycare. My family helped me, and I took them with me a lot, everywhere I went. Hard to do, but I was able to do it. And then once the older ones got a little bit older, they were able to take care. Fortunately, when their mother left, the oldest was 11 or 12, so it wasn't but like a year or so after that the oldest could take care of the younger ones. And of course, now with cell phones and instant communication, it was worked out pretty good. But back to the point. The daycare industry is a $33.61 billion a year industry. Is that not a valuable career? So you have minimum wage daycare workers, or maybe a little more, taking care of your children and imprinting their values on your children. 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, whatever it is. Okay, that industry is projected by 2030 to be $88.72 billion. So if that's not a valuable career, why is it making so much money? And the average daycare worker makes, let's see what they make. They make $20,500 per year. That's here in Missouri. That's the average. And let's see what it costs to have a kid in there. Between $1,200 and $1,600 a month. So that comes out to $19,200 a year for 1 or 2 kids. But if you have 2 kids in daycare, a lot of people have 2 kids, you're going to pay between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. How much money does your wife, if I'm talking to you as a man, have to make a year to justify you putting your kids in daycare and letting somebody you don't even know imprint their values and ideas about life on your children? I'm not here to make you feel guilty, but you might want to feel a little guilty about that or take some responsibility. If you're a man, you need to figure out a way so your wife can stay home and raise your kids. Don't you think that's what's best for your kids, to have your wife who you picked to spend the rest of your life with, to raise your children, rather than somebody you don't even know anything about? I mean, that's the way I look at it. And if you can't afford to do that, as a man, you're the leader of the family, maybe you should figure out a way to afford to do that. I'm sure you can here in America, if you want to put out a little more effort. Are your children worth it? I was fortunate. I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed. I've been able to raise my kids, and as they got older, they were able to come with me to work. And now 3 of my sons work for me. Sometimes 4 of them work for me. I still have 1 in school. And as the kids get older, you work together as a family and they take care of each other. So it can be done. And a lot of you may have your parents around still. I don't. My mom passed away in 2016. Sometimes I was able, in the early days of raising my kids by myself, sometimes I was able to leave a couple out there and she would help me. But I couldn't leave them all out there because it was just too much. I had one of them in preschool for a while. He was 4 at the time, so that took up part of the day. But there's a way you can do it where you don't have to have them in daycare 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, away from both parents. It's just, how important is it to you? You know, your kids are your legacy. They're very valuable. You need to put some importance on them and think about what you can do to have them raised by their mother, if you're still together with her. So there's the stats on the money. But we've become such a monetary nation, and we see the results of it with our children. We've become such a monetized nation where everything's about money. But the reality is, how much money are you making as a family if you're paying, $1,200 to $1,600 a month per child for child care? If you're forking out about $19,000 to $20,000 a month, or my mistake, a year in child care, how much is your wife? She better at least be making 40 grand a year. But even then, what price can you put on having her raise your children? And let's go back to that too. A wife and a mother is just not given near the recognition that it should get. But then again, that's because they don't pay taxes and they don't consume as much when they're staying home with the kids. So who's behind that? What's the motive there? Is the motive there to have better families, better children, or to have better revenues on consumerism products and taxes? Think about that.